All right, well, Jim, this next question was sent to CornyDriveThru at gmail.com from, there's no name here, from Tom. Since Brock won the WWE Championship at Elimination Chamber and will face Roman Reigns at WrestleMania for the Universal Championship, do you think that the WWE will end the brand split? How do you feel about this? Do you think all the talent cuts over the past year or so have been related to the possible plan that WWE is going to have one singular roster for both Raw and SmackDown? How would this impact creative, advertising? And how many more wrestlers should the WWE cut? Or what is the ideal amount of wrestlers to have on one roster with 2 weekly programs? So, to sum all of that up, Jim, what about the idea they use this opportunity to end the brand split?
Well, I've heard, I haven't been in on the network television conference calls, but I've heard that the idea is that, well, Fox doesn't want the champion from the USA Network and vice versa. They want whatever. I've heard people try to justify it by saying that. You can't tell me that if Vince McMahon went to both networks and said, look, we're going to have different rosters on the programs, but we're going to have one champion that goes back and forth and is the top guy in our entire universe, and he will appear on both shows, but it will mean better ratings for both because he will be over and a bigger deal instead of the muddy multiple champions. As far as all those other, what's the ideal amount of wrestlers? There is none. How many can you pay for? How many good ones do you have access to? How many do you want? They had way too many, and they had a bunch of people, and they've cut a bunch of people. They've cut some people that was a benefit to their competition, and they've cut other people that I bet the employees of the WWE don't even notice they're gone for a few weeks. That meant nothing. So it's not about cutting a certain number or keeping a certain number. It's about keeping the right ones that can do you some good and the ones you intend to use. And maybe some projects for the future. But again, I can understand having, because of the difference in the networks, if it was 2 shows on the same network or the same under the same ownership umbrella, that'd be one thing. Since it's not, yes, they might want different rosters, but not different. And you could have a North American champion on one, a United States champion on other, whatever the fuck with the tag belts, whatever, but a world champion. That's what's hurting them. And they've only got a couple of guys that mean anything in a world title match. So you're diluting that even further when you do this other stuff. So all the rest of the questions, yeah. But yes, they should take this opportunity to unify the championship and then have one dominant guy that goes to both sides. And that way you could get a lot more mileage. And you could keep focus on one guy. You can't, I've said this a million times, but it's still true, and I'll end with this. If you'd have gone to Hulk Hogan in 1986 and said, okay, we're going to have 2 champions, and we're going to make the other one, he'd go, whoa. You're not going to have 2 champions if I'm around, or if you do, I won't be around. That would have been the end of it.
Well, perhaps if there were 2 champions back then, Hulk Hogan would have said, this is not what I signed up for. Maybe I should go back to Vern, but I have this contract. I wish I had a lawyer to help me get out of it.
That's right. And if he had at that time, if he had known that there was a young little whippersnapper over in Beckley, West Virginia that was soon to enter high school and would gradually become an attorney, then he would have known who to call. This man.
Call Stephen P. News. If you need to sue. An outlaw mud show or 2. Still to the rest.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Stephen P. New is the man for you. NewLawOffice.com, 888-692-8084. We've talked in recent weeks about the suits that are in the process of being filed. They've already started, and they're adding more every day for the babies addicted to opioid, the childhood opioid withdrawal syndrome that they went through. Not only if you happen to be the parents of a child that was afflicted with that, but if you're foster parents, grandparents, adoptive parents, or in some way the birth parents are not in the picture and you're not sure about these things, track these things down and contact Stephen P. New at newlawoffice.com, 888-692-8084, in order to get involved in these class action suits in multiple states. You don't have to be in West Virginia. These are being filed on behalf of people all across the country. And also, Stephen P. New, as we've mentioned, is a title sponsor for the World Classic Professional Big Time Wrestling event promoted by Bobby Fulton and his son in Chillicothe, Ohio on Saturday, March 12th, where they've got literally, I told Bobby Fulton, if there was to be a nuclear incident in Chillicothe on March 12th, the entire wrestling industry would be decimated. Everybody from Kevin Nash and Kurt Angle and the Steiner brothers to Tully and J.J. Dillon and Barry Windham. And, of course, the ever-popular Bobby and Jackie Fulton themselves reunited, the third version of the Fantastics. But anyway, that's March 12th in Chillicothe. Stephen P. New is a sponsor of that. Stephen P. New is filing suits on behalf of Cult of Cornette members across the country. And he can do the same thing for you. 888-692-8084. And we know he may not answer his own phone, but he does his own callbacks. newlawoffice.com.